This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
I'm Billy.
And wow! What's Billy's channel all about?
Oh boy. I make gaming videos. I make just a bunch of stuff. It's awesome. But right now I'm focusing on a big project for basically a D&D channel that I made called Tales of Initiative. Where I venture away from the normal reviews and reactions I do on my main channel, where now I actually talk about different I play D&D 5e with like a bunch of other people that are really reactive, and we throw on a bunch of other fun stuff like animation and stuff like that. So it'll come out in October. It'll be awesome.
Oh, that's not Craig. Whoops.
So much to the right.
Yeah. Craig, your mic just got really quiet.
Deep frog here.
Is your mic quiet on purpose?
Is it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're better now. Just got really quiet for
Maybe it was just away from my mouth.
I think it did, yeah. Anyways, Craig is not Timmy. Craig is Craig, and Craig used to do Twitch, but now he spends a lot more time doing other things.
Yeah.
So Craig,
Cleaning diapers.
you just brought up some really interesting stuff about WoW and some decentralized gaming. So for Friendly Friday, we're actually going to talk about the prospect of decentralized gaming and what it could be if we wanted it to be, if we got everything we wanted.
Okay. So you want me to like break into what like decentralized gaming is?
Yeah, might as well start with what it is.
So my understanding of it, so pretty much like if you go to any like web page, right? Like it's usually a server that pulls up that web page, and then everybody basically there's a centralized server that does this, right? So like Amazon Web Services, a lot like 30 to 40% of internet traffic flows through them, and it's basically their own servers. Where decentralized gaming would basically, it's kind of like LimeWire. Hopefully it's not as crazy as that, but it's a peer-to-peer system, right? So basically everybody can like upload stuff from another computer, and it's not one centralized area, but it basically spread out amongst everybody that's connected together. So it looks like it's there's already a lot of my interest in it is basically people being able to monetize in-game items for blockchain currencies or that sort of thing. So that's kind of where my interest in it lies, because I've always played games like, especially MMOs. I played Elder Scrolls. I've played World of Warcraft. I played tons of games where I'd buy in-game items, like mounts or different appearances. And really, when you stop playing those games, like I've always wondered why I couldn't just sell my account, right? Like if I put the time into it. Granted, they have like the rights over it because they created it, but you also paid for access to that service. You put your time into it. I feel like there should be some ownership for you to be able to pass off to somebody else and make money off of your time. So it sounds like decentralized gaming has that aspect. There's other items in there. So since this is basically open source, so there's things like GitHubs where a bunch of people can come in and look at the code and help work on a game. So I think that you might even see more creativity from in the games that are created, because right now it's kind of like you go to a main company, try to get hired in, and try to pitch your idea, right? And based off of that, you either have input or you don't. Whereas this is like you can put your idea out there and work on it without having to basically crowdfund or have a voice in a company to allow you to do that. So I think that's kind of cool.
So here's an example of a blockchain-based game, CryptoKitties. I know it's funny. It's a funny name. Okay, but here it kind of explains what you're talking about with decentralized gaming, being able to sell your assets. So essentially, they created quote-unquote unhackable assets. Like, for example, Bitcoin is considered unhackable, right? It's to the degree that it is in cryptocurrency, it is considered an unhackable asset. CryptoKitties, developed by quote-unquote Axion Zen, never heard of this company, but they introduce unhackable assets. So the game is to breed, purchase, and sell virtual cats. So with real money, you would buy these crypto cats that are made in the game, and each one has a unique identifier, which means that you cannot You cannot hack this cat, and you cannot get this cat without buying it from another user. So this kind of implements the blockchain technology into a game that's decentralized, because your token would be available on your computer for your game, and you would sell it physically, encryption key and all, to the person who bought it from you. So that's kind of the same idea you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
It just gives users more access to their assets on their computer.
And I think there's obviously that has a long way to go, but I think it's in the right direction for people that, I mean, like we all grew up playing a lot of games, and it would be nice to like have like a little side hustle in gaming where you can actually be profitable without streaming it, where you can just basically
Play the game and sell
enjoy the game and sell it when you're kind of done with it. So
like if somebody wants to just be directly into the post game content, and you're like, I already beat the game, so here you go.
yeah, and so they kind of the interesting thing about this, because they have NFTs, and they basically have people that make, let's say, like a JPEG image, and you can sell that to somebody on the blockchain with like Ethereum or something like that. And the way it works is you can basically, since the blockchain basically keeps track of every single transaction with all the currency that's involved with it, you can trace that back to the person that you originally bought it from. So you can kind of tell authenticity with this artwork. But where it kind of gets annoying at is where if there's one pixel in it that's different, it's considered a different type.
Huh.
It can't be classified as the same thing. So it acts like it's an entirely different thing. So you could basically resell it. So there's like I think that aspect of it is probably not so well done. But as far as like, I can see it being useful in the sense where, hey, there's like an input and output, right? So when the transaction happens, item ID blah blah blah, which represents like a gold cloak or something in a game, is traded for a currency, and then you have smart contracts that basically execute that. So I don't know. I think I'm interested in it just because it would be cool to do this. And I know they have, what do they have? They have a card game. It's kind of like Hearthstone. I'm trying to figure out what it's actually called.
There actually is a cryptocurrency console, by the way, out there. The Atari VCS uses cryptocurrency.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's a selling point for it, but the console itself has a cryptocurrency associated with it. And people were ragging on it because they're like, people are already not buying this console, so what was the point of putting cryptocurrency on it? But hey, you got to try something.
Yeah, and so since it's kind of the nice thing is, like, I don't know if it's nice. The other issue with decentralized gaming is, since it's decentralized, there's not really a way to block somebody from using the service.
Oh yeah.
Like, so one of the blockchain things is that you basically can't be filtered out by anything. So you should always have a presence, just because it's all anonymous. And so that might be annoying as far as like people harassing other people and stuff like that, and not being able to force it. But I don't know. I think, like anything, well, it's just another thing that will have to be improved upon. So
yeah, that's true. Like, so for example, like although I never really disagree with bannings on services, especially if it's just for language, you should still be able to mute people or block people for your own individual use case, right?
Right.
I hate it when I see people getting banned off of Xbox Live or banned off of Steam or any of those things. But if I'm just playing in a game with you and I don't want to hear you talking to me anymore because you're harassing me, that should still be available. But you're saying essentially with a decentralized platform, it would be very difficult to do that.
Yeah, and and then I don't know. It's kind of like when Xbox Live first came out. Like, I played it ever since it started coming out, and the language on there was pretty horrendous, right? I think I learned a lot of words when I first started playing on Xbox Live, but I think now, since a lot of people are streaming the stuff that they're playing, that's kind of, it's still present, but I don't think it's as prevalent as it was when I was 13, 14 years old, getting on and realizing I got some words to look up.
As eloquently as Will put it, boys became men.
Basically. But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. I know that, and that's just one aspect of it, of the blockchain. Like, you can basically play games off of it, but it's more than that, right? So like it's currency. It's kind of weird for me to think about the currency actually being able to do things. Like normally it's just a mediator between a transaction, right? So instead of me, if I wanted to sell a chair and a guy has a bunch of peaches, I don't have to figure out how many chairs equals peaches. I just give him some money, right?
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
where so like blockchain is where that plays in, like there's finance and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think this is kind of the new web, and it's kind of cool because there is utility with the blockchain where you can play games with your own currency. So
That'd be pretty cool, actually, to directly convert to a universal currency, almost like Xbox Live points, where Microsoft tried to do that years ago. Remember that, where you could convert to Xbox Live points, but you couldn't actually break out of that system, so you couldn't like resell your points. In this
Yeah.
case, you could buy into the blockchain technology in a game, sell that for the currency in the game, and then convert the currency in the game back to real money. Right? That's the idea.
yeah. And even like within they could use like a so like there's like Ethereum, Bitcoin, and then there's off of that main blockchain, like there's like apps, and these apps have their own currency. So like you could basically say like I got in-game currency in WoW, right? If it was part of a blockchain, I could transfer that real currency to like a main currency like a USD and actually get money out of it. So there's like, and then I could go do something else with it if I didn't want to play that game. I could use that currency to go in something else. So it's really, I don't know, interesting to me.
Yeah, because there could be, then you could have a secondhand market where you could sell your WoW account for a certain number of WoW tokens or whatever it would be, and then convert that to USD.
Yeah.
Or you had like a really nice item in that game and you could convert it back to USD. Imagine you bought a digital item in WoW today, and 10 years down the road, that item's no longer able to be bought by normal means, and somebody could buy that on the secondhand market from you for Bitcoin or whatever, Dogecoin, whatever coin, and then you could turn that in for real money. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, like just like for WoW example, people they have a trading card game, and in it, like one of the original, like the most probably one of the most expensive game items in WoW comes off of one of those trading cards. It's basically a scratch off ticket, and you can put the code in the game and you get a mount for it. It's called the Spectral Tiger. And when I originally started playing the game, like that was like you were really cool if you had that. And I remember looking at the card up on eBay, and it was like $500, and I was like, "That's insane." And that was like 2007, 2008, and I don't know if you go on eBay now, it's probably like $10,000 to $15,000 for that
So
card.
it's not this one, but this is a similar
No,
idea.
that's like a pet token. Let's see if you can find the Spectral Tiger mount.
Oh,
So yeah, so like, wouldn't that be cool
wow.
if like you're like, I got this on my account, I can't sell my account the way that things are, but you imagine you had like something that's worth $15,000 on it and you can't do anything with it and you're just kind of tired of the game, right? It would be nice to basically take that and be able to sell it. And I mean, for some that might even be like making ends meet, right? So
I mean, for this amount of money, you could probably do a down payment on a house somewhere.
right.
Like, this isn't making ends meet. This is money in the bank.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like there's ways to sell your account, like, but they're all kind of like underground, and I'm not sure how like comfortable I would be like even trying to like negotiate with some of this stuff because you don't know if it's a scam or not. Where I feel like if it's on like a decentralized network, it's essentially kind of the same thing, but at the end of the day, you have like a smart contract that would probably handle the transaction where it's like this person has to put this up and then I have to put up the amount of money, and then the bot it basically confirms that both things are there and then does the transfer for you. So there's not like a middleman, right? So
See, what you would
rather
almost
than
want like an exchange company handling that stuff.
yeah, well that's kind of what the blockchain is supposed to basically take out middleman by
Right.
using basically bots like smart contracts is what
I
they
got
call
you.
them.
Okay.
So it's basically just a program where it's like this party brings in this input and this party brings in this input. And then you just
Exchange those
switch.
things.
Yeah, and you just send them back. It just sends them back to the other address.
So it seems like it's something that could be easily implemented into these games if companies would allow it.
Yeah, and I don't know, like so like one of the games is like a Hearthstone, it's called Gods Unchained, and so you build your deck, you can play against other people with it, and apparently you can even I tried to sign up for it, and I didn't have I forgot my password as soon as I signed up for it. I guess that's the key to having a good password is just not even knowing what it was in the first place. But I was gonna actually try to mess around with this game, but you can sell your cards to other players in this game.
Interesting. It's like a legit trading card game, like what Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon cards would have been, where you could have an exchange and for actual money, except
Right, so it's
digitally.
kind of like Magic the Gathering Online, where if they used to have actually in their, I don't know if they still have it because they kind of switched to this Hearthstone kind of esque layout now, but it used to be where Magic Online there was like a bartering system where you could they were called tickets, which was the currency, and you could trade tickets for different cards amongst other players, but like there was no real way to actually like get your money out of that.
Yeah, and that's usually the problem. That was actually my biggest issue with Microsoft Live Points, or whatever they were called back in the day. Was once you bought into the Microsoft point system, there was no way to exchange your currency back. You know, you would load up your Microsoft wallet with Microsoft points or Xbox points, whatever they were called, and then you could never get those points back. There's no way to exchange your currency back for those points.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, and I think I don't know. A lot of people have qualms about pay to pay to win, basically, right? So, I think this might even be better, like to alleviate some of that concerns because it's at the end of the day, it's a player making money, not some corporations that's already taken some of your money, right? So, like, it's different when a company is like, you have to have this gun in order to basically do very well in this game, where it's basically I bought this from another player that spent 3 years trying to get this thing, and now, you know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of fairness involved with that, as opposed to a company just basically enforcing it. And the other thing is, I don't know how updates work in these games. Like, do the developers have a choice, or is it like a community thing where they basically get to vote on patch updates? Because like on anything with the blockchain, basically they have to get 51% of the community to agree on it before it's implemented. And I'm not sure if that would be the case for these games, but I think that would be another interesting aspect.
What would be kind of cool is players that have completed the game. Like, let's say you get some kind of stake or investment in the game based on the amount of playtime you got in. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
That way, the players who are playing the most get the most say.
Yeah, I could also see the issue where like you got somebody on for like 24 hours and it's just like another program that's basically running, right?
That's a different story, right? I'm thinking along the lines of people who have played and are
Yeah.
successful at the game would earn tokens for that. You know, like if you're losing
Yeah.
every game because you got a bot playing it, like playtime should only be one factor, right? The other factor should be like how much in-game currency you've accrued.
I'm just laughing because like if you think of like a WoW patch, like they just nerfed the character I'm playing and it's a centralized system, so you don't got any choice over it. Like you
Yeah.
just got, and then like I can just imagine like a decentralized system where it I don't know if this is how it would work, but if it was the case that people voted on it, they're like, well, you voted for it, this is what you wanted. And then they're like, my character just got pooped on basically, and now I gotta get 51% of the community to make sure that they come back.
Well,
That might be a little rough.
imagine
I
the
don't know
inverse of that, though.
how that if that's how it actually works, but that would be interesting.
Imagine the inverse of that. Like some guy has literally been logged into the game on like 50 accounts, botting for the last 2 years, and he's like, "My character is getting stat boosts." Just voting on stat boosts for his character every single update.
But yeah, I don't know. So like, there's a one called Decentraland where it's basically like The Sims, right? So you actually have to pay real money to buy a plot of land in that game, and you can develop it. And I'm not sure if like, say you buy a plot of land, you decide to put a shop in there. If other people go to that shop and can buy like virtual goods that you can basically send out for real money, or you could sell that property that you're in. I know a company, like apparently you spawn in this game at a central location, and some company bought like $150,000 plot right next to the entrance.
What?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like, I don't know if this is like going to be the next new thing where instead of buying like a subscription or a $60 game every month, you're basically investing in the game as you play it, and then you're able to get a little bit out of it once you decide to stop.
I'm imagining like if they were to release No Man's Sky right now, like imagine buying your own planet. Like as part of a giant universe, like, and you would have to have a finite number of planets available, or else it loses the entire value of the planet, right? So the whole point of Bitcoin is that there's a finite number of Bitcoin out there, and I imagine these types of games, if you're going to expand the amount of land available, it inflates the not inflation, it actually devalues what you've bought in game, right? So you can't have these updates like that in this kind of a game. Like imagine if they added DLC to Skyrim to add an entire another part to the map. If you did that in a decentralized game, you've now devalued everybody's investment in the game.
Yeah, and I think the other issue with it might be that a lot of what somebody's willing to pay for it depends on the popularity of the game, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of up to the developers and to make sure that people are playing their game, which is really the case right now. But I would think once more people are basically investing into the game, it becomes even more of a problem because maybe somebody really loves this game and puts a lot of money into it, and then all of a sudden nobody else likes it, and they just lost basically all their money. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting little thing to probably mess around with.
This almost would turn gaming into a stock market.
Yeah, sort of. Well, I mean, yeah, it probably would.
Because
To some
you would
degree.
get, instead of Wall Street bets, you would get
You get GameStop bets.
Like imagine going to GameStop to buy a decentralized game to invest in, like I'm gonna buy this plot of land in this game.
Well, for like the decentralized one, I think you basically, as long as my understanding is your wallet has like a private key and then it has like a public address, right?
I meant you buy the physical disc at GameStop to go home and buy a plot of land in the game.
Yeah, well, I'm saying like I don't even think you could just go on. I mean, you're basically playing a decentralized game, right? Or well, that guy was like, as soon as you load into the web page, you're basically playing the decentralized portion of it.
I was being facetious when I said you go to GameStop to buy a disc to buy a plot of land. I was being silly.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, they already kind of did that with the Halo map pack, so.
That's true. You could literally go and buy. And you could also buy what was it? Fallout 76. You could buy directly from GameStop, despite the fact that they had that subscription server service thing. So
it seems like you're trying to be funny, but like it's already happened, right?
You're right. You're right. I was being ironic about decentralized gaming when you can't actually buy DLC packs as a disc in a store. That is true. I do have my multiplayer map pack sitting on my shelf over there, and I'll never get rid of it because otherwise it's so hard to get the Halo 2 maps on the OG Halo 2.
But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Billy? What do you think?
It's rough for me. I wish I had a lot more to add to it, but what I can say is like I kind of had a little bit of experience with it when I did I played a lot of Diablo 2 when I was younger, and they had the like you were mentioning earlier, like the real shady account transfers, like and like I was a part of that. I've lost like a lot from it, but yeah, like I don't know. It's definitely like I think it would really revolutionize a lot of gaming systems because I think that's one of the things that like me and my MMO friends kind of like agree on is they don't have something where it's like you kind of get what it's worth out of playing it, I guess. Like the more time and effort you're putting into something, like you should like it shouldn't be against the terms of service to, be able to offload that onto somebody if you're just completely done instead of it going into the nether of not using it ever again.
Yeah, and that I pretty much agree with that. So
I remember back in the day, people used to sell RuneScape accounts on eBay.
Dude, right there. I feel you.
I think if it was like facilitated better and like it was like commonly accepted, because I think the community, the people that actually play these games are probably like, yeah, that I don't see the problem with being able to sell my account. I think that it's just really kind of shady to be able to do that without like having the
Some
support of
system.
like the companies
Yeah.
or a means to actually do that. So you basically like, hey, I'll give you my username and my password on some site that I've never heard of, and then do like an authenticator. Like if somebody who's like, well, I'm gonna use an authenticator to get my account back. Where if these companies just kind of like, yeah, it's you put the time into it, it's your account, we'll help you facilitate the transfer to somebody else. Where there's not like a risk of losing everything. Like it could be a lot simpler. I just don't think they'd make any money off of it, and that's kind of why I'm okay with not letting them in on the action of decentralized stuff.
I think.
Well, they'd probably, if they made their own marketplace for it, they'd probably take 10% of the cut.
Well, that's kind of what they did with the Diablo 3 auction house, but they ended up removing it because I think players were making more money than they were off of it eventually. So, well, I mean, when you're taking like 10% of all these transactions and then you realize like, hey, I'm only making, I don't know, like 100 million, and when I could be making all this based off of the details, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just greed, I guess, at that point, but they took it down. I don't know what the reasons why they took the Diablo 3 auction house down. I think they said it was because it wasn't working properly, but I made money off of it and I thought it was working really fine.
Yeah. I mean, these companies, if you get these companies involved, they're just going to want to maximize their profits. And it makes sense. So you're a business, you're trying to make money. But at the same time, what benefits the developers will benefit the public interest in the game. And what benefits the players will benefit the public interest in the game, right? So you got to balance between how much people are willing to suffer through in your game to play it, and how much people are willing, how much money you can make doing that. Like there's a balance, right, between players enjoy it this much, we're going to take this much cut. Like you're constantly fighting the players on how much are they willing to pay versus how much are you able to make for that quality of life. So if you have the auction house and now all of a sudden the players are really enjoying it and you take that away, you might end up killing the game off altogether. Does that make sense? Like I'm trying to say it right, but I'm saying it wrong.
I think, I don't know, I like one of my original concerns was like, well, let's say we got some whale that likes to play this game and he just buys everything up. Well, if nobody wants to get into it because it's too expensive to play, then he just basically lost all of his money because he doesn't have anybody else to sell it to now.
Look, whales in gaming exist, right? So they're gonna be taken advantage of regardless of how they get taken. If it's not this game, it's the other game. If it's not that game,
Right.
it's the next game. So at some point, these guys are gonna end up in therapy to solve their whale problem, unless they have unlimited funds. You know, if it's Elon Musk is the whale, like it's never, he's gonna just keep paying into it. But if it's like, the everyday average guy and he's like $1 million in debt, that was going to happen one way or another. He was either going to get it through gambling or through one of these gotcha games like Clash of Clans. Something was going to pique his interest that was going to take away his money. And those people probably should get help before that happens. That's my recommendation. So, yeah, there's just too many gotcha games out there. One of these games is going to pique the interest of a whale, and he's going to spend all of his money.
Yeah. I don't know. So, but I think, I don't know, right now, the scalability of the cryptocurrency, I think Ethereum is having scale problems with amount of people. Basically, the higher the value of the currency, the more people expect to get as like a tip when they mine it. So basically, the tip of miners update or confirm the blockchain and make sure that everything's valid, and then they go on to the next transaction. And the way to entice them is basically paying them a fee to pick up the transaction to validate it, so that basically the currency goes wherever you're telling it to go. And right now the costs are just pretty crazy. I've seen somebody get charged like to move $100 from Ethereum to like another account was like $20. And so
That's
like
ridiculous.
it's not well, just because so it takes a little, when demand's really high, the prices go up because there's just a lot more to do. And then as the price of the currency goes up, which it is right now, then the mining fees also go up because people want a little bit more for base because it's more valuable.
Hmm.
They're supposed to release another layer to the Ethereum blockchain, which makes it more efficient. Because the idea originally was basically just to get rid of the middleman of like financial institutions, right? So I could just transfer you money directly without having a bank facilitate it, and it was supposed to be less than like pennies to do that transfer. Where banks are only open 8 to 5 or something like that. You got to wait for them to open, and then they charge you 3% on whatever your transaction is. Where I can just send it directly to you. I know your address. Here's the money in less than a couple of minutes, and I don't get charged as much. But scaling that up to meet demand increases the amount of money that it costs to basically do those transactions. And I don't know, if they can solve the scalability issue, I think this would be a good thing to do.
I think the only other issue I've seen with blockchain technology is once you set the limit, unless you're willing to extend that limit, like the amount of fractions you can break something down to, like for example, Bitcoin was at 21 million Bitcoins exist in the beginning. It's like the more people, there's what 7 billion people on the planet. If we move to all Bitcoin all the time, you would be in like fractions of fractions of fractions of Bitcoins and transactions.
Well, yeah, I think, but Bitcoin, I don't know if you know, is broken down into Satoshis is the
Yeah,
basic
I've
unit.
heard that before.
So I don't know, it's like 10 to the minus 8 digit it goes down. So it's like 0.00000001.
Yeah, I'm just saying like
So like
you
I
have to
mean,
have that
even if you
ability
have like
to.
a dollar, you're able. It's not like gold where you're like, all right, I want to buy this thing that's $5 with this $1,800 chunk of gold. Like how do I get the rest of my money back and the thing that I want, right? So
Yeah, I mean, I was just mentioning like when you have it, you have to have the ability to fraction it out. That's all I was trying to get
yeah.
to.
So it looks like I mean, you can fraction it out basically.
Yes, you would have to. That's what I'm saying. Like that would have to be part of your technology. You have to be able to break it down that far. So it looks like Bitcoin has that settled. I'm just saying, like, imagine that there was only 21 million Bitcoin, and you couldn't break it down below one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I
That would
mean?
be, yeah.
So from what I remember, one Bitcoin is
You're
worth
like,
quite a bit
this
of
is
money.
64,000, but I just want a cup of coffee at McDonald's.
So one Bitcoin right now is worth about $56,000.
I can't even buy a coffee maker at Myers anymore.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to say about decentralized gaming? Looks like I've got a bunch of stale faces going on here.
No, I mean it's I don't know, it's still fairly recent. I think people are so my understanding, at least for Bitcoin, only like 3% of the world actually owns a thing of Bitcoin. And the last projection I seen, so if you compare the amount of internet users in 1994, it's basically that amount of people actually do something with a blockchain. And it's projected that, and I think in the next 4 years, it's basically going to be the amount of people using a cryptocurrency is going to be something like the amount of people using the internet in 2005. So we might see a pretty huge jump, but I think that depends on whether or not it's scalable. And there's obviously a lot of, like with any new technology, when the internet first came out, it wasn't too kind to a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people got into stuff that they shouldn't have and ended up losing stuff. So there's probably going to be a lot of kinks to work out. But I think this is kind of an interesting alternative to what we currently have.
Yeah, if you got, it says 11% in the U.S. own Bitcoin.
11%, but I'm saying worldwide.
No. I'm just saying, like, think about that. 11%. It says even in 2019, only 6.2%. So in 2 years, we've gone up double, basically. So it's double at that rate.
And I'm sure it's probably
keep going up.
I mean, you got Elon Musk tweeting about it, so I'm sure it's probably more than 3% now. So
I've heard some people talking about Dogecoin and Bitcoin being the two most used.
I don't know. I see
most traded. I'm sorry, most traded.
Bitcoin. That's probably correct as far as being most traded. Dogecoin. I mean, my understanding is it was created for like a joke sort of thing, and it's kind of like a fiat currency where there's not a cap on how many actually exist, so they can just keep creating Dogecoins out of out of thin air, right? So it's kind I don't know, like
I don't know. I don't know a lot about Dogecoin. I just know it was started as a meme and people trust it because it's got the dog on it.
yeah. So I personally wouldn't go into this Dogecoin. I'm not like a financial expert or anything, but what I have no recommendations. I'm
not a financial advisor. That's what you have
I'm
to
not
say.
a doctor either.
Disclaimer.
Don't take medical advice from me.
None of us are financial advisors.
I like the dog though. That's what makes it really.
Yeah, it's a joke. So like, and because it's so cheap, people are like willing to put money into it. It's like I think last I checked, it was like 7 cents a Dogecoin.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's really cheap right now. But it did.
It's crazy.
Did go
It's
up.
crazy to think how much these have grown over the past. I mean, I think it's like 29 ounces of gold to equal a Bitcoin now.
Yeah, so the market cap for it is 7.1 billion, and the price per Dogecoin is 0.05. So it's 5 cents a Dogecoin, almost 5.5 cents.
And I think Bitcoin just hit 56,000.
Yeah, I did. We pulled that up just a minute ago. It was like 56,000 something.
So that's pretty good. Apparently, if you the first stimulus check that went out, if you would have put that into Bitcoin, it would have been worth $9,000, about $9,000 a day.
Wow. Well, yeah. So the thing is, you got to watch the market. But if you just literally follow Elon Musk's Twitter, you could probably make some decent investments for short-term gains.
As soon as he tweets something, just sell because it goes up.
You mean just buy, not sell. I mean,
Well, that's when everybody's buying. You got to buy before that, and then
you
sell
buy,
when it
you
gets
buy.
high, right?
If you think Elon Musk might be buying something or tweeting about something, buy it right before he tweets, and then watch your money double. Anyway,
I don't know. There's like so
not financial advice. Not financial advice. Not financial advice.
It's a very interesting. Like I don't know anything about coding, and I just like I don't know. For the past like couple of months, I've been kind of absorbed by blockchain technology, just catching my attention, and I've just been kind of dabbling in it, and it's actually really cool to see what they're doing. And it's all open source, so like if you are interested in the code, you can basically look at any of these programs to see how they work.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Blockchain is a cool technology. I don't have a lot of experience with it personally, but this has been an interesting conversation, and hopefully some people have learned some things throughout this. So, you guys have anything else you want to say?
If you know more about this than I do, please comment and tell me what I said wrong.
Timmy, get in the comment section. Timmy's a big Bitcoin advocate, so
Timmy, educate me.
I want to have Timmy and Craig on. This has got to happen in the future now. All right, guys.
Oh, yep. It is Billy's or the CHRILLCAST.
It's okay. This one
You're gonna have to edit that out. You're gonna have to edit that.
What did I say? Did I say something wrong earlier? I
used the CHRILLCAST, but now that we gotta do the CHRILLCAST. Remember?
We gotta have the Crimmy cast. Craig and Timmy will host. As always,
Like,
I'm Chris.
The CHRILLCAST. I feel like that's a really bad adjective to call somebody.
Oh, it wouldn't be the Crammy cast, wouldn't it be? Because CRAMMY. It'd be the Crammy cast. As always, I'm Chris.
I'm Billy.
And I'm Craig.
And we will see you
On the next CHRILLCAST.